Last Sabbath, Pastor showed us a video of what the sanctuary was. I mean, it hasn't been seen, but like a depiction of it. So I'd like to share that with you. Okay, so Exodus 38 is the continuation of the previous two chapters. In this chapter, you see the making of the altar, verses 1 to 7, and all the utensils. They were made of bronze, according to the command and description in Exodus 27, 1 to 8. The altar was placed at the front as you enter through the holy gate to the courtyard and before you enter into the tabernacle. It was the largest piece of the furniture for the temple. On the altar is where the sacrifices were made, and this was pointing to Jesus, who was the ultimate sacrifice for our sins. The only gate again represents that Jesus is the only way for our salvation. Now I'll read from Patriarch and Prophets and page 218. and it's regarding the altar. It says, every morning and evening, a lamb for a year old was burned upon the altar with its appropriate meat offering, thus symbolizing the daily consecration of the nation to Jehovah and their constant dependence upon the atoning blood of Christ. And likewise, we are the same today. God expressly directed that every offering presented for the service of the sanctuary should be without blemish. The priests were to examine all animals brought as a sacrifice and were to reject every one in which a defect was discovered. Only an offering without blemish could be a symbol of his perfect purity, who was to offer himself as a lamb without blemish and without spot. 1 Peter 1, verse 19. The Apostle Paul points to these sacrifices as an illustration of what the followers of Christ are to become. He says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Romans 12, verse 1. We are to give ourselves to the service of God, and we should seek to make the offering as nearly perfect as possible. God will not be pleased with anything less than the best we can offer. Those who love him with all the heart will desire to give him the best service of the life, and they will be constantly seeking to bring every power of their being into harmony with the laws that will promote their ability to do his will. The laver of brass was constructed from the looking glasses of the women serving at the tabernacle. It says looking glass, but what it was in those days, it was shiny brass that, I'd imagine it would be, looking at it, you will see the reflection of yourselves. And I can't imagine, living without my mirror. And for the women who served in the cause, that they made this sacrifice to give these up so that they could be built for the laver, which the priests would use to cleanse themselves after making the sacrifice before entering into the tabernacle. Verse 21 to 31 is an inventory of the offerings for the building of the tabernacle. It says there were 29 talents of gold. And just to put that in perspective, 1 talent is equal to 75 pounds of gold. And the same again was 100 talents of silver. And bronze, we have the same again, 70 talents. So as you can see, there was a lot that was presented and was given by the people as their free will offering to make this possible. And they obeyed God as he commanded them to do. Now, each man, as he said, it was 20. These were made of offerings for men of 20 years and above, and each gave less than half an ounce. And you can see in that picture, the video, the depiction of the tabernacle. So this is a lesson for us that the little we do can make a big difference in this world and for our church. However we use that for our talents, how we use our talents, we must be willing to use that because it will make a difference in this world